parents divorced. And then I found out the truth. I always thought my parents' divorce was one of those irreconcilable differences situations. I was 10 when it happened, and although it was painful, I adjusted. My dad moved out, and I stayed with my mom, seeing him on weekends. They were civil, and I never saw them fight much, so I accepted their explanation. Sometimes adults grow apart. Growing up, I was closer to my dad than my mom. He was my hero, teaching me how to ride a bike, helping me build science fair projects, and always showing up for my games, no matter how busy he was. He made me feel loved in a way that made the divorce easier to bear. Fast forward to last year. I'm 27 now, and my mom and I were catching up over dinner. Out of nowhere, she suggested I take one of those ancestry DNA tests. She framed it as something fun to learn about our heritage, but the suggestion felt odd. She kept emphasizing it, and her tone was almost anxious. It stuck with me. Curiosity got the better of me, so I ordered the kit. When the results came back, I was fascinated at first, learning about my roots and seeing potential distant relatives. But something didn't add up. There were no matches to my dad's side of the family. None. At first, I thought it was a mistake or a glitch, but as I dug deeper, the realization hit me like a ton of bricks. My dad wasn't my biological father. I confronted my mom the next day. At first, she tried to deny it, but when I showed her the DNA results, she broke down in tears. Through sobs, she confessed that during a rough patch in her marriage, she and my dad separated briefly. She had a relationship with another man during that time, but when she and my dad reconciled, she found out she was pregnant. With me. She told me my dad knew I wasn't biologically his, but they decided together to keep the truth from me. They wanted to raise me as their son and avoid complicating things. I was stunned. My entire identity felt shaken. I couldn't believe my dad, the man who loved and raised me, wasn't the one I shared DNA with. At the same time, I couldn't fault him. He never treated me like I wasn't his. He chose me every single day, even after the divorce. A week later, I visited my dad. I couldn't keep it inside anymore, so I told him I knew the truth. I'll never forget his reaction. He took a deep breath, looked me in the eye, and said, "Son, you're mine. Always have been, always will be. Biology doesn't change that." I cried for the first time in years. This man, who had every reason to walk away, stayed. He chose to love me unconditionally, even when I wasn't his. It made me see him in an entirely new light, not just as my dad, but as a man of incredible strength and love. Now, I'm grappling with whether I want to find my biological father. Part of me is curious, but I worry it might tarnish the bond I have with the man who raised me. For now, I'm focusing on healing and appreciating the dad who has always been there for me. He may not share my DNA, but he shares something much more important: his heart.